Severe weather in Alabama, Georgia, and the Florida Panhandle over the last 24 hours. Now a lot of the energy is headed north, but still, this front, the cold front, is moving into air that is very moist. Dew point temperatures in the 60s. But right now, Tampa's only reporting some. For the last 36 hours, we've had it here in the Midwest. It was a rough go. But the folks in Chicago got off easy. Notice the area shaded in white from the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. Marquette with 16 inches of snow. Back to Des Moines with 13.7 inches of snow. In Chicago, about an inch on the north and west side. That was it. We have skated by thus far, but the big one's liable to hit. Can't let our guard down yet. Here in Des Moines, that was the biggest storm we've had in 20 years. 13.7 inches of snow in just one storm. In Birmingham, Alabama, snow. Well, they get snow, but not this time around. It was warm and rainy yesterday. Nearly 5 inches of rain. That's a 24-hour record for the month of January. And then today in Greensboro, North Carolina, they've had record rains too, with over an inch of rain. Where's our storm now? Not causing any snow back here in Des Moines or in Chicago, just some flurries around here, some wraparound moisture in here. But as the moist air wraps around and moves across Lake Michigan, the snow is coming down big time. Grand Rapids, Muskegon, Jackson, Detroit even getting in on some light snow with a few bursts every once in a while, a dusting around town. Cleveland, the snowburbs, north and east of town, you're getting hit tonight. Pittsburgh, also some snow. Let's check on this storm. Check it out in the northeast. First off, this is all rain. All rain. In behind it, snow. And you can really see, look at this. Everything moving in from the south-southwest, warm air aloft, warm air at the surface. It's 55 degrees in Boston right now. But you cross over the front, and the front is right now through the lower Hudson and Delaware valleys. That's the dividing line between the warm, wet, and the cold, snowy in behind that. There's some snow here in the Poconos right now, and some snow. Look at this. Everything moving in from the west-northwest. There's your cold inflow. Here's the warm air out to the east. Temperatures, 55 in Boston, 22 in Chicago, 24 in Cleveland. We are solidly into the cold air. And of course, you factor in the wind, and, well, we don't have to get into wind chill. We've been into that for quite some time. It's been very cold from the plains eastward for about the last 3 months, hasn't it? Temperatures have been coming down here. Pittsburgh started off warm and rainy. Now we've got snow. It's 18 degrees colder than it was this time yesterday, 27 degrees. There's our storm in the east. Once again, there it is. Rain, wind, gusting to 50 miles an hour here. Boston, it's going to be rough until the cold front moves on by. Even after the cold front moves on by tonight, as you head out into town, bundle up. It's going to be windy from the west, west to northwest, bringing some of this in. The cold air, not the snow. No snow for Boston. No snow for Hartford or Philly or New York City. That'll all remain in the mountains and westward. And speaking of the west, looky here. We've got a combination of rain and snow here, too. Snowing to the north of this area of low pressure. Snowing in Seattle. Snowing in Fort Vancouver. It's snowing in Portland, Oregon. It's snowing like crazy today. They're getting snow out here in Salt Lake City and east into the mountains. I-80 across northern Nevada, covered with snow. Up over Donner Pass here later tonight. Once again, 2 storms. One in the east, one in the west. And here's what it looks like on Sunday morning as you go out to the front porch. Pick up the morning paper. Spread that cream cheese on the bagel here on Sunday morning and get ready for the Super Bowl. They're going to clear out. Rain, mainly East Coast. Lake effect snows in behind that. And all you need to turn your car into a boat is 2 feet of water, and you have absolutely no control at all. Rain will be ending here in the Hudson Valley down to the Delaware Valley in just a matter of hours, just a couple of hours. Then it'll turn windy and cold. Snow showers near the Great Lakes. Here in the west, heavy snow and some rain heading down into Los Angeles with a lot of wind from both storms. We'll find out where they're going next.
Presenting the ultimate tire for your sport utility vehicle, the Michelin LTX. Michelin's technological advances in sidewall and tread design give it a smoother, quieter ride than you might ever expect from a 4x4 tire. Rugged enough, tough enough, Michelin enough to get you through anything. The LTX series from Michelin.
Find Michelin tires at this dealer near you, because so much is riding on your tires.
Severe weather and heavy rain take their toll on portions of the South and Mid-Atlantic. We'll look back at Friday's storms and look ahead to the start of your work week.
In the West, winter will make its presence felt during the upcoming week. All this and a Super Bowl prediction for the weather, that is, coming up on WeatherScope this afternoon.
For a scope of coverage you won't find anywhere else, this is WeatherScope this afternoon.
Well, severe thunderstorms, near blizzard conditions, rising floodwaters. It looks like the eastern part of the country has been through quite a bit. Now it's time to start cleaning up in some places. Good afternoon. I'm Declan Cannon.
And I'm Christina Abernathy. We're also going to take a look at what's going on in the west, but first let's take a look at what happened in the south. In Alabama, in Saraland, Alabama, a suburb of Mobile, went through some tense moments Friday afternoon as high winds tore through the city, as well as some homes. There were no injuries in this area, but officials report 2 people were seriously injured in nearby Citronelle when high winds flipped their mobile home. There were unconfirmed reports that the damage was caused by a tornado in the area. The severe weather made an appearance throughout Georgia as well. Heavy rain in Atlanta yesterday afternoon and night caused street and highway flooding. Drivers were forced to slow down and use caution as 2 to 4 inches fell in the area. Fortunately, no major waterways overflowed. The worst appears to be over in the state of Kentucky, except for areas around West Point, just southwest of Louisville. Residents had to cope with the rising floodwaters from the Ohio River and also with backwater from Salt River. At least 23 families in the area were listed as evacuees. We're looking at pretty quiet conditions in the south now, but that was not the case in Jackson. The total rains for 1996 in Atlanta, just under 6.5 inches, where your normal should be just under 4 inches. Well, let's see what's going on in the south right now, and we are looking at pretty quiet conditions as high pressure is built in. A little activity perhaps along our front in Florida, but otherwise pretty quiet, maybe a little on the cool side. But as we head northward, we're looking at a completely different story. You are still dealing with the rains here as the front continues to move through. We're looking at flood watches in the area shaded in the darker greens. We're looking at very windy conditions, and we're also looking at numerous flood warnings in effect for parts of Connecticut, for parts of New Jersey, and into southeastern New York State. So it's just still a real mess here in the northeastern U.S. Behind our front, cool enough for the snow to be falling here, and some lake effect snow is beginning to kick in. We are looking out ahead of our front. We're looking at lots of southerly moisture moving in here. We're looking at heavy rains falling. Behind it again, looking at snow around Buffalo, back towards Erie and Pittsburgh. And the snow continues to fall here in Michigan. You are looking at some very strong winds here. Numerous snow and blowing snow advisories for lower Michigan and a winter storm watch for the UP of Michigan. So a real mess here too. Let's take a closer look at what's going on in the northeast though, and you can see the dark green indicating where the heaviest rain is. Looking at some heavy rain now around New Haven and also up towards Concord. That's where we're seeing the heaviest rains right now. As we go farther to the south, the rain's now beginning to push on off the coast, but still looking at activity for places like Philadelphia and on towards Baltimore. All this, again, associated with that front and that moist flow ahead of it.
While the east is cleaning up from severe storms and flooding, the west is continuing to deal with very heavy mountain snow and even snow in some of the low elevations. This gentleman was getting an early start on keeping the sidewalks clear. This is in Portland, Oregon. The snow began this morning and it created some beautiful scenery in the city, as well as problems on some of the city streets for motor vehicles. But for most people, it looks like just enjoyment with the wintry weekend on tap. Look for more on and off snow, occasionally mixed with rain at times, right through Sunday. And speaking of snow in Portland, here's a look at the snow so far. 1.5 inches. More is on the way, we think, this weekend. Normally, yearly snowfall in Portland about 7 inches. Now, we haven't seen the report yet from the airport at Portland, but it's been snowing for a good part of the day. And the overall setup in the west is plenty of onshore flow coming in off the Pacific. So we just stacked the snow up in feet. Literally 2 to 3 feet of snow already has occurred up on the north edge of the Sierra, north of Sequoia. About an additional foot or more expected tonight and tomorrow. And it could get very interesting around Seattle Metro late tonight and tomorrow. Winter storm watch has been posted. Now, it's very critical as to exactly where the next low pressure ends up. But right now, just south of the Queen Charlotte Islands up around British Columbia, an area of low pressure is trying to intensify. That may be just enough to throw a swath of moisture over the Pacific Northwest, and we end up with snow in Seattle. Let's see what's happening on the satellite view. Here's Northern California. We have an upper disturbance causing heavy rain and snow in North California. Redding, California, up on the north edge of the valley, picked up 8 inches of snow last night. You can see the rain clouds making their way through the Southland. Some rain pushing through Santa Barbara County in the past few hours. Here's the cold front south to San Francisco. 1 to 2 inches of rain in the Santa Cruz Mountains within the past 24 hours. And an area of low pressure, just the first of several low-pressure systems that'll be moving from west to east. Radar not very active to the north in Washington, but we can see some of that snow around the Willamette Valley. It appears to be tapering off and pushing a little farther east this afternoon. More rain scattered in the valley in California. Also, as you head into southern California, they get a closer perspective with the radar from Los Angeles, and you can see not too much shaking out of the clouds right now or on the radar scope over LA itself, but as we head north and west of town, heading up into Santa Barbara County, the rain continues to slide on in.
It's time to look back on this day in weather history, and we journey to 1994 and some bitterly cold temperatures in the Northeast. Frigid Arctic air was in place over New York and New England as massive high pressure provided ideal radiational cooling conditions. These residents in New York did their best to combat the cold. In addition, Burlington, Vermont broke its old record daily low with a reading of 29 degrees below zero. And Caribou, Maine set a record low for a third day in a row with a temperature of 29 below.
Well, let's take a look at the so-called break for a few locations. Sioux Falls, South Dakota, average high at 25, gets close to that tomorrow, and then boom, down into about 9 for a high on the Monday afternoon chart. Minneapolis, St. Paul, average high about 21. There's your average. Getting closer and closer. Just about the time we get to near normal, we start dropping off again. Significantly colder air coming into the state Monday and Tuesday. Now, to get us there, high pressure off the East Coast tomorrow. More moderate snow, maybe heavy, as moisture goes up over the top of that cold Arctic air mass, and rain and snow in the Pacific Northwest heading south into California. Heaviest rain targeted for eastern New England. Going to be some problems with flooding. Included amongst that is New Milford in Connecticut. Along the river, we see perhaps 5 feet above flood stage within the next 12 hours. There's your heavier snow streaking east out over the Arctic air in the northern plains. Heavy snow stacked up in just about every mountain range from Utah north, the Utah west to the Sierra, and again, as I mentioned, north of Sequoia. Should see additional significant snowfall. Very chilly air mass. Now, this air mass gathers, builds in size and depth, and then starts to penetrate pretty far to the south as we go from Tuesday to Wednesday and Thursday, while warm weather occurs in the southeast. Monday through Tuesday, a fairly fast-moving system heads off the east coast. More snow pushes through the Rockies. Right now, it looks like Wednesday and Thursday, we could see a pretty significant weather system. It could cause all kinds of travel problems with blowing and drifting snow, some freezing rain, gusty winds over the southern plains. So a real mess as you head farther down the road, and eventually after that storm leaves, a large piece of that Arctic air is going to push